welcome back. Today we're going to talk about linear functions. So you can see here we're talking about lines, so we're going to have to review what slope is and how to write the equation of a line and how to graph linear equations. So let's get started with an example of just talking about what slope is. Okay, so if we're given 2 points, so 1, 2, and 1, negative 2, and 4, 2. We're going to connect these two with a line. Okay, so the slope of this line is going to be how much change is occurring between the 2 points. So we're going to talk about our change in y and our change in x. Okay, so our slope is rise over run. Okay, in other words, it's the difference in the two y values divided by the difference in the two x values. Now, it doesn't matter which point is point 1 and point 2, as long as we're consistent in the numerator and the denominator. So for this particular example, we're going to have the slope is negative 2 minus 2 over 1 minus 4. So that's negative 4 over negative 3. So my answer is 4/3. Okay, so rise over run. Here's the formula that we need to remember to calculate slope. Okay, it's a rate of change. So, in the real world application problems, we might be talking about miles per hour. It's a rate of change. Okay, so what does that mean about the graph of a line? Well, we can have 4 different types of lines. We can have one that's going up. We can have one that's coming down. We can have a flat horizontal line, and we can have a vertical line. Okay? If the line is rising or increasing, then our slope is positive. Okay, if the line is falling or decreasing, then our slope is negative. Okay, if it's flat, then there is no rise, so this means the rise is 0. So this would mean our slope is 0. And this is what we call a constant function. Y doesn't change, okay? In an equation, in a vertical line, now I'm choosing some x equal to a constant. So now my run equals 0. So that means the slope is going to be some number over 0. So this is undefined. Okay. All right, so let's use that information and figure out how to write equations of these lines. So the first thing we want to remember is there are 3 ways to write a line. Y equals mx plus b. So m is our slope, and b is what we call our y-intercept. In other words, that is the point 0, y. Okay? Another way to write the line is in point-slope form. Okay? And then finally, we could write it in standard form. Okay? So in this first one, they gave me the slope, and they gave me a point. So let's use point-slope. So I'm going to have y minus my y value equals my slope times x minus my x value. Now, if I want to simplify this, this would be y minus 2 equals 1/2 x minus 1/2. We can distribute the 1/2 through. And then I can add the 2 to the other side, and I get y equals 1/2 x plus 3/2. So this is point slope form. The simplified version is the slope intercept form. Okay, and either version are acceptable. It just depends on if we have a particular instructions or if we're using it for something else. But that's how we could write the equation of the line. Now in this one, they gave me 2 points. So the first thing I have to do is find the slope. So I'm going to do 8 minus 5. That's the change in y. And then I'm going to do 4 minus 2. That's the change in x. And I get 3/2. So now I can put it in slope-intercept form. And I can use either point. So I'm just going to use this one. So y minus 5 equals 3/2 times x minus 2. And there's the equation of the line. Now we may want to make it y equals 3/2 times x minus 2 plus 5. Because if we have it as y equals, now I can use it to solve for various equations. But I can also simplify it down by distributing the 3/2. And I get y equals 3/2 x plus 2. All three of these are equivalent, okay? But we had to find the slope first. Now, even if you had used the 4/8, option 1 and option 2 would look different. But when you simplify it down, it would look the same, okay? All right, now let's graph some of these. So this is our slope, and this is our y-intercept. So the y-intercept is at -2. My slope is 2/3, so that means that 2/3 equals change in y over change in x. So I'm going to go up 2 and over 3. And I could do it again if I want, up 2 and over 1, 2, 3. And then we can connect the lines. And we can name some points so that our equation is, our graph is labeled and readable, okay? Now, in this one, we're also given m and b, so I'm going to start at b of 1. Now I have change in y is negative, so I'm going to go down 3, and then the change in x is 2, so over 1, 2. And then I can connect. Okay. Now, -3/2 could be written with the negative in the top, but it could also be written with that negative in the bottom. So I could go up 3, but I'd have to go to the left 2. Okay, so this point is at -2. And this point would be at -2, 4. Okay. All right. Now, if they give you y equals 2, that means our slope is 0 because there's no x. And then we're going to have a horizontal line because no matter what x is, x could be 1, I'm going to have a y value of 2. X could be 4, and I'm still going to have a y value of 2. Okay? So my slope is 0. I get a horizontal line. So the first one is rising because I have a positive slope. The next one is falling because I have a negative slope. And then this one is horizontal because I have a 0 slope. Okay, the last one then is just x equals 1. So let's find x equals 1. No matter what y is, I'm going to have x at 1. So what I end up with is a vertical line And so my slope is undefined. And I get a vertical. So anytime we have x equals a number, we'll have a vertical line. Okay, now sometimes, just so you know, they may give you the equation as in standard form. Okay, and so what you can do is solve for y. And so y is negative 2/3 x plus 4/3. And now I can see my slope and my y-intercept. The other thing you can do is just let x equal 0. That would mean y would be 4/3. And then let y equal 0. That means x would equal 2. And so now you have your intercepts that you can plot, and you can graph it that way. Also notice when they give it to you in standard form, the slope is going to be, if this is A and this is B, the slope will always be negative A divided by B because of the way we solve the equation. So that's just something nice to remember so that you can graph them in any way. You can solve it, you can find the slope, or you can find those intercepts in order to graph it. Okay? All right, so here's an example, another one of those. So I'm going to just do it this way and say x is 0 would give me y equals 2. So I plot the point 0, 2. And then I'm going to let y equal 0. So that'll give me 2x plus 0 equals 6. So x will be 3. So I have a point at 3, 0. And then I can connect the dots. Now I can see from my picture that my slope would be negative 2/3. Okay, again, A and B. So the slope is negative 2/3. Okay. All right, so next time we're going to talk about parallel lines and perpendicular lines and how those relate and what their graphs look like and how to write their equations. So hopefully you'll join me then, and hopefully this gave you a little introduction to how to deal with linear equations. We'll see you next time.